I brought a little toy with me here.
He's going to
little
cast
gadget.
a spell.
Gen Zers love a product like this. So what is this? It's the Cash App Wand, and it's sold out in under 10 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow. How many?
How many do you think they sold?
I'm shocked. 10,000.
How many do you think they sold?
100,000.
Max is right.
Okay.
10,000.
Okay.
Batch 1, 10,000.
Okay.
We'll see what the future holds, but with no marketing too. Yeah. So testing, I think beforehand showed that it was super popular with Gen Z.
Okay.
Like the youth like it. Apparently they use it at raves and stuff. Can we
talk about exactly what it is?
To do what?
I also want to hear the back, but
just so you can make payments with it. So the experience here. So you open Cash App on your phone.
Got it.
This has there's no battery in this. There's an NFC chip.
Okay.
Like a passive NFC chip. And you do a one-time activation. You just hold it on your phone. It activates, and then you don't need your phone anymore. And then it just acts like a debit card. So you tap to pay anywhere Visa is accepted. Anywhere. You just tap to pay.
And so you could like go out on a run with this, not have your phone, and then you could tap to pay.
Yeah.
I'd like to see you try that, DK.
I went to Whole Foods this morning and I tapped to pay with this, and it worked.
Oh, great.
And I felt very masculine doing so.
So and when you say the kids at raves, I assume, and I have some ideas now of what they're using it for, but can they, it's like a way to enable like Cash App to like peer-to-peer payments or something? Like how are they, like if it's
just tap? I mean, well, you need to have an, I mean, because the other side powers it, right?
So if they're buying,
so you need a NFC, essentially, receptacle, like seller.
Got it. So for like festivals and stuff, if people don't want to like bring their wallets, then they can still.
I hear the youth these days maybe don't bring their iPhones to festivals. So.
Interesting. Is that true?
I don't know.
Oh, that's very.
That's what our stand-in producer told me this morning.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I was wondering, do you know any of the history of sort of? I mean, it's kind of a radical form factor for payments. Is there something that kind of was the driving force of why this would be like? Kind of where did this come from?
I don't exactly know. I actually think it will be a very powerful and compelling story to tell. So I was chatting with Thomas this morning, the head of hardware at Block.
Did he make this?
Well, I asked, what's the genesis story? Because I think it's like super novel and compelling. I think it's very Cash App. It's very on brand for Cash App.
But I would not think of Thomas with this thing.
Well, good business people know their customers, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, and there's a lot of youth. I mean, Cash App also just like a few weeks ago launched a teenager product.
I saw that. Yeah.
I don't know all the details, but so
they're going after like younger demographic.
Yeah. I mean, they already had younger and but now they have even better products for teenagers. So so I don't know the story, but I was telling Thomas that like whatever the story is, it's almost certainly compelling. I mean, even if it's not compelling, if it leads to this, it's still compelling. Like whatever the story is, it's compelling. Whether it's top down, bottoms up, or a team, or however, right? AI, whoever, however this was manifested, it's compelling. So I think, I think Block should be telling that story, like get it out on social media. Cool. But yeah, so it's actually a very simple product, but it's one that. Well, I mean, yeah, I think selling out 10,000 with no marketing is just a starting point for it. I mean, and you can imagine this isn't the end; it's the beginning. You can imagine many other form factors, ones that fit different style, because this is all about style and like status, style, like
swag.
Yeah. So you can imagine lots of different designs.
So the big question. So I mean, obviously, there's a lot of ways this could go. How far are we from being able to load some Bitcoin on here and tap to pay with a little bit of Bitcoin over Lightning? Because now you have my attention. I would carry a wand if I could do that.
Yeah.
Hopefully something.
I've actually had two conversations this morning about that. One from an engineer that works on this, and then and from a friend. So that's an obvious next step as well.
That'll be super cool.
And again, kind of like with Cash App, paying Lightning invoices, whether it's coming from your dollar balance or from your Bitcoin balance, either way. So
But notably,
Not sure if or when, but it's obviously a logical next step too.
Yeah.
but notably, this doesn't have an interface, right? It's not powered, so there's no interface. You can't like dynamically decide I want to use it for dollars, I want to use it for Bitcoin. You kind of have a device that does a thing, right? Which
Yeah.
kind
So
of
in theory, it could be done, but you'd have to like push new standards throughout the ecosystem, right? Because
right,
like you could have the payment terminal pop up and say that, but that's
right.
obviously a lot more involved making that
Yeah.
happen.
That'd be cool though.
Yeah. So I think that's I think it's a cool product. And will probably be really successful for Cash App. I don't know what their plans are for like how many SKUs they'll have, how many designs, and how much. Like with their cards, they allow you to customize it.
Oh yeah,
each person.
I like those.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if
Green,
that's like
black.
practical for this, but maybe they can have contests or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it could be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean,
Do you think this will give rise to other kind of card issuers doing stuff like this? Because it does seem like if it turns out to be incredibly popular, card issuers are always looking for like an edge, a different marketing angle, a rewards program, et cetera. So like, will this sort of instigate an ecosystem outside of Block even?
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly could. I mean, what I think is going to instigate an ecosystem even more than the swag factor is the 5% Bitcoin cash back.
Another announcement is Cash App supports USDC now.
Oh, that's right.
Have you played with this yet?
No.
It's by far the best stablecoin integration in the world.
Okay.
Because it shows up in your dollar balance.
So it's just like
it's integrated.
one unified account, basically.
Yeah.
Nice.
So if you deposit USDC into Cash App, it just shows up where your dollars already show up. You don't have to you don't have different balances. You don't even have to conceptually think about, oh, this is TradFi dollars and this is stablecoin dollars. And I can only spend the TradFi dollars here and I can only spend the stablecoin dollars here. It's just integrated.
Yeah, I love that.
So and also I think the layer ones are also fixed, right?
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. I'm going to speak to the positives first and then the negatives.
No, that was a positive I was going to suggest.
Oh, this is a negative, but
okay.
Or I mean, we can talk about your positive and then my negative, but we'll start with my positive. So, I mean, well, the first positive is what I'm saying. Like the integrated balance is just a beautiful experience on Cash App side. And then it directly answers your question. I mean, it's 2 clicks, not 1 click. But I mean, you can take a loan, just transfer it to Cash App and then buy Nvidia stock. I mean, and it's so there's a few steps there, but they're all super fast and really not gated. I mean, if you're already KYC'd on Cash App, then it's just not gated. And
that's for US users, obviously. So that's great for someone that has Cash App account. But
yeah, I'm just I said, building blocks, baby steps.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, well, hopefully Cash App's super successful, but we want more products than just Cash App, and there's a big world out there. But I'm just saying, we're getting very close. I mean, so after using Surge and after using the new Cash App stablecoin integration, for me, it's watershed moment for me. It's like the first time that I've seen real non-casino real world applicability of stablecoins. I get all the casino stuff. I get the motivations behind it. I know that it's a market. It's just not one that I've never been, excited to work on or whatever. But here's a flow where it's this is, I just find this super legitimate. There's a bunch of people who have Bitcoin. Their use case is savings. They don't want to spend it because it's savings. They don't want to spend it because they don't want to take a tax hit, but they do want to unlock liquidity. They do want some exposure in AI stocks or whatever investment they want to make. And now they can do so without any kind of registration process or BS around their Bitcoin. Like a lot of banks, you have Bitcoin, you're risky. As opposed to, you have an asset. It's you're risky. So you don't want to tell a bank you have Bitcoin because usually that means you're a risky customer. Here, you don't have to tell anyone you have Bitcoin.
Right.
They don't need to know who you are.
Right.
You can just post your Bitcoin again in this self-custody contract, and then you get dollars, which you can immediately transfer to Cash App, and then you're in the traditional finance system.
So that's
everywhere
huge.
you can spend dollars, you can now spend dollars. So real estate or any transaction you want. And so I think that's super fascinating. And a really extreme example, and I was running this by DK this morning. If you mentioned whales or OG Bitcoiners, whatever, who have a lot of Bitcoin. I mean, there's a segment of people who are, all in on Bitcoin, or like the vast majority of their wealth is Bitcoin. And especially if they bought it early, it's like got very low cost basis. So, they certainly are not keen to sell it and pay the taxes. But they either might want some liquidity to spend, or they might want to, even though they're huge Bitcoin believers, they might want some AI exposure. They might want to diversify or do some other investments. So if you can take out a no KYC self-custody loan against your Bitcoin, get that liquidity, and then like instantly buy NVIDIA or whatever stock you want to do, I think that's pretty compelling.
And I mean, that was eureka for me. I had forgotten that Cash App had integrated stablecoin. So like that, to your point, the
they announced it, but it wasn't available until this past week. So
one question I have on that though, because I think I've been thinking a lot about Lightning Network payments. I'm working on an update right now, and I think I saw David Marcus's his speech at the Bitcoin conference, where he basically was saying, after chatting with Miles, or maybe this was in a podcast somewhere, he was like, it was fun for him or interesting to realize, oh shit, like supporting USDC on Solana or USDC on Ethereum, like the shitcoin networks, it's not, they're no longer competing with Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin is value, we all understand that now. These are just like alternative payment networks. Like if, Visa and MasterCard and Amex and Discover and Solana and whatever, and like, they run and, you can do a dollar payment. Great. And so, again, kind of pushing this idea, they're all intranets, Bitcoin and Lightning are internets. They can hook them all up together. So I think it's a really smart and good move that companies like Lightspark and now Block and Cash App are integrating Bitcoin with all of the old shitcoin networks. And I think what we're seeing, they're just payment networks. They don't compete with Bitcoin. But one question I have on that is like, isn't that going to be an absolute cluster in terms of like, and I think maybe you even mentioned this, like you have all of these, I mean, I guess if Cash App handles it for you in the background, but like, fees on Ethereum can spike. So if I've got USDC on Ethereum and it's like super expensive, but USDC on Base is like free, and like market making between all of these chains, I mean, it seems, I don't know, it just seems horrible.
Yeah, we've definitely talked about that before, and that is horrible. So let me get to the bad part of my experience. And that's because Cash App launched with USDC only on 4 chains.
Arbitrum on 4 channels. Like what? USDC is
not on. Leave it to Miles though to launch on 4 chains. Exactly. No, 4 chains.
Exactly.
Arbitrum, Polygon, Ethereum, and Solana.
No base.
No base.
Ooh.
So I had
bold move.
So to prove this out, I sent $25 of my line of credit from Surge to Cash App, and poof, I lost my money.
Really?
What?
Yeah, because it was.
You just lost it?
Yeah, because it's USDC base, and I sent it to.
Oh man! Okay, I take back what I said. These products are not ready for prime time. No.
And so. Miles called me a noob, but I mean, I did it intentionally. But I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of customers who It is very even I knew that was going to happen, but even trying to learn both of these products and see which networks they support, looking at these tiny little icons to figure out, and then looking up what the icon means. Oh, that's Arbitrum icon. And I mean, it's absurd if you know what's going on.
Yes.
And a lot of people are not going, they're just going to think I have dollars, or maybe they think I have USDC, but they don't know, I have USDC base. And then they might even be confused that they think that, well, base is on Ethereum, so it should work. Actually, that was part of my thinking. Like maybe it will work.
It's kind of reasonable.
Maybe it will work because base is on Ethereum. So the token, I thought maybe it's an ERC20 token. Maybe it should work, but it didn't work.
Wow.
Now, in theory, I think Cash App engineers can go dig up my money. It's not literally like gone, but there's not a product experience for me to get it back.
Wow.
And so
imagine if you took out a real loan, like if you did what we were just saying, you say, okay, I have $10,000 or something, I'm gonna go buy this, the stock, and you're like, oh shit, I just lost.
Well, presumably if I did like $50,000 and then like Cash App would put the work in to do it, but to get the money back for that customer.
But how would they even get that back? Because you're sending it to a different address. Like you're sending it. It's like they would have to go and like support base.
I think so.
Got it.
They have the key, but then they don't have the software support, but they'd have to add the software support kind of thing. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sure I don't know the future there, but obviously they'll likely support base in the future, and that works. So, I mean, right now we're just speaking to that type of integration is like coming up soon. And in reality, what if I actually wanted to get the dollars on Cash App, I would transfer it to Phantom, which I also tested that out and it worked, and then I go Phantom to Cash App, right? So
I can't wait till it's
I can transfer it to Phantom and then do a bridge and then transfer it to Cash App or whatever. But which is what people in the casino do, because if you're in the casino, like, you feel cool doing all this stuff and you feel like you've got an edge. But if you're just trying to do normal, if you're like a normal human being with a normal life trying to do basic stuff, you don't want
just trying to do a little magic here.
Yeah, I know. This is beautiful. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I think the stablecoin world will move to like the bridge.xyz's of the world. Circle has products to make it interoperable. That David Marcus' son, Ethan, he has Flashnet, which is building out all these different, supporting all the popular combinations. That'll just keep developing, and I think it's just a matter of time, and then that user experience problem will go away. Same with like hiding the gas fees. So I think the UX will get there where you don't have to think about it. It'll just work. You don't have to have you personally don't have to hold extra tokens to pay for gas. It'll just work. But what will remain true is that it's centralized actors doing all these swaps, and there will be fees. And obviously, the more centralized it is, the more monopoly pricing power they will have for the fees. Or the more layers you have, the more fees there will be.
I just want to say that this reminds me again of something we've talked about probably many times in the show, but John Pfeffer's 2017 utility token thesis, when he was looking at Bitcoin versus all of the shitcoin networks. And he's like, if you need to like get a Chuck E. Cheese token to play the game or a casino chip to play the game, fine, but you're not storing your money in the Chuck E. Cheese token. I actually think this is kind of playing out. I mean, I didn't at the time, I obviously see it in stablecoins. Back then it was still ETH and Sol and all that stuff. But it's interesting to me, like it kind of seems like that the market is going to continue to bifurcate, where it's either the most radically decentralized value storage and actual decentralized payment network, Bitcoin and Lightning. And then it kind of seems like Ethereum and all these like middle kind of trying to be decentralized, and Solana a little bit less decentralized, like are going to like probably eventually just like get killed by the other end of the spectrum, which is Base, or where they're headed, and these other, Tempo and all this stuff, which is just like a database controlled by a company. Because obviously
decentralized and do it.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want decentralized, you got Bitcoin. Otherwise, like let's stop with all the theater. Like, you've already confused regulators for 5 years. Like, now
I agree. And that's why the fees will be low.
Zero. Because otherwise, like if I'm doing a payment and I actually do it on Ethereum and it's a $5 payment or something.
That's why last year you laughed at me, but I said Google Cloud Universal Ledger.
Google's always ahead of the curve.
Smartest play. Just because it doesn't, it's not Dino. It's not decentralized. It doesn't claim decentralized in name only.
Right.
It's just like, it's just a database. Just a database. We have this compliance department. We are compliant. It's a database. It's fast. It's cheap. And we're Google. And we can be trusted. Right. So I actually think that's going to serve a need. I think it's better than Base or Tempo, which are like, oh, it's decentralized blockchain.
Sort of.
And it's more Dino-like. Yash, by the way, answers, at least at a high level, one of our questions. MPC-based signer network acts as a communication layer between Bitcoin
and Base
custody and Base lending smart contracts. So, yeah, I sort of described two sides of that. DK, you brought up the third, which is the communication mechanism between the two. I'd still like to learn more about it to really understand the details, and I would advise anyone else to do so as well if you're going to use this for any meaningful amount of money. But anyway, Surge looks promising.
By the way,
Cash App nailed the stablecoin integration.